And now something completely different. So in honor of ReaperCon, which is happening this weekend, I'm going to assemble and paint this miniature Dead Men Tell No Tales, which I unboxed last week, I think. And it looks amazing. May require assembly. Yeah. Yep, just a little bit. Okay, so here is the bag with the miniature pieces. I've already gone through and opened it up. I'm going to go ahead and lay everything out here. So I have not glued together minis in a very long time. So I have some snippers here. If there were things on sprues, which there are, I would have to take those off, but looks like we have sprues of small treasure chests, sprues of larger treasure chests. Looks like a bird, maybe a raven of some sort, and another chest there. I'm going to leave those on the sprues because I'm going to have to prime those. So this is the base where our guy goes. That is really impressive. Very happy with that. He goes on like that, I believe. And then we have the back of his throne, which is here. And I believe that goes here. So that's what it'll look like when he's all assembled. I would imagine the big treasure chest goes here, and there are areas for the smaller ones to be glued down. So the biggest thing that I want to make sure of as I go through this is I'm looking to prime this, and I'm not sure if I want to prime it while it's all in pieces and maybe paint it while it's all in pieces, because I know I'm not going to be able to get back here to this area once it's up here, but it's still going to be visible. Still going to be able to see that. So I'm taking a look at all the various areas where we have visible components. We have all back here. We have a side here. Get these out of the way. Side area here. Now I could just cheap out and paint all that black on the inside because it's going to be dark anyway, and I may do that. But I still got to prime it. And trying to get primer in here once it's all put together is going to be a real pain in the tail. If you notice on the back of this there is a little tab and there's a slot. So that's going to be my gluing area right there. And the reason why I'm looking at this is because I don't want to prime over the area where I'm going to be applying glue. Primer, glue, doesn't work out so well from what I understand. So we've got that. And then there's a little bit there. So now I'm looking at this. I'm thinking I may have to shave this off. Do I need to shave that off too? If anything, it pitches him forward a little bit. So I'm thinking I probably have to get rid of that too. Let me double check my calculations here. With him together like so, if I turn him around, there's a big gap down here at the bottom. So I'm thinking that piece at the bottom has to go. I think that's the case because once I cut this off, it's over. Well, either way, once I get this all sorted out, if I need to, I do have a brand new bottle of something called liquid green stuff. And I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with cars and bodywork. I believe this is probably like a Bondo. And you put it over those areas, let it dry, it solidifies, and you can sand it down to get the seams out. So let's see what we're going to do here. I think that's going to have to come off. Oh boy, I hope I don't screw this up. It almost looks like sprues, so you know, I could put it together like this and put some liquid green stuff down there, but that seems like it would be awfully a lot of work. Yeah, I think it's gonna come off. Okay, so the more I'm thinking about this, the more I'm looking at these two pieces, the more I believe this part comes off and this part comes off here. I'm going to try and just take these little sprues out and see what happens there. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to grab a sharp utility knife. And I'm going to attempt to cut those off. There we go. Yeah, those came off really quickly. So they're really not meant to be there. Now it does not look like there's the mold line there. That looks like that whole thing might come off too. Let's see how it fits. Okay. So that fits really snugly now. So it kind of looks like it's raised up here. So I believe that those back pieces have to come off too. So I'm going to go through, attempt to shave that off. That's part of it. I wonder if these snippers will work better. Try not to get too close to the so that area is there. So that looks better. If you notice here, this isn't pitched so deeply forward. Alright, so now I believe I have to get this piece here. That's a lot. So I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and use a file for that. I do have some sandpaper too that I can use. So very fine grit sandpaper. Maybe I could sand that area down. That way I can keep it flat. Just want to make sure I don't get any of the actual sculpt here. Let's see, that looks better. Let me go ahead and try a test fit and see how it looks before I remove too much. Looks like we still have a fair amount of base that we have to deal with. So let me make sure that I get this little bit. I'm going to go ahead and sand that down too. Again, I hope I'm doing the right thing. I don't know. Okay, it looks pretty smooth now. Alright, let's do another test fit here. I can see it's not quite there yet. And this is, by the way, a looks like an 800. Take a look at the back of this. Silicon carbide. So it's super fine. It's not going to take down a ton. I could have used a file. I still may. If it doesn't fit perfectly, I can use some green stuff to kind of clean it up. Let me put my knife away so I don't cut myself to pieces. I don't know, I'm kind of excited about this, so sorry. Alright, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So at this point, I'm basically just kind of going through and continuing to sand down the base of the back of the throne, trying to get it level a little bit. At this point in time, I'm taking off things that I believe need to be taken off. I'm not sure. And I'm hoping that the end result isn't a catastrophic failure where things won't sit right, but it's kind of hit or miss for me right now, trying to figure it out. Going back through and inspecting to make sure I'm not taking off too much and doing some custom fits and making sure that all that stuff looks right together. I think at the end of the day, I'm still going to end up needing to do some green stuff to get everything to sit the way that I think it should sit. I don't know what the artist intended, or if maybe some of the pieces that I'm shaving off were actually part of the way it was supposed to look. But at this point, I'm making it my own and hopefully not making horrible mistakes along the way. Using this sandpaper turned out to be really helpful just because I was able to keep everything flat, and it helped me make sure that the base that I was sanding down was at least somewhat even. Fitting it to the back, it seems to fit better. I don't have as big a gap on the bottom, and once I put everything together, I think it will look just fine. Let's take a look at the base. Base looks pretty good. Oop. There we go. There's a little thingy right here. I don't know what that is. So right here, I get that off. Okay, I think that should be okay. And because this is the bottom of the treasure chest, I'm not really worried about it. That I only took off because it's going to affect the way it's sitting. Okay, Birdie. You know, Birdie has some mold lines right here where his mouth is. And I think I'm going to try and empty that area out. That'd be kind of cool. Okay. That's one. And here's our little small sprue of stuff. Those look okay. All right. So I'm going to choose to prime all this stuff before I glue it together. So I need to take a look at the gluing point. So I believe this tab is going to be one of the contact points. Obviously, for me at least, I've been fussing with it for a while. Hopefully that will work. I think so. Then once we get him together, I'm going to need to make sure that I don't paint anything here or down here. So I'll be using that for points of contact for glue. So that actually is pretty easy. That should be good. So when I prep these, I'm going to tape these areas off. That way I don't get any primer on them. And away we go. I went out and got fancy. And I bought these little alligator clips on a stick. Specifically for oddly shaped miniatures. The stick and poster tack only works for some things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these, I'm going to put them on here. Grab another one. And do the other sprue. Trying to get it someplace where it's not going to cover anything. The bottom here, I need to put some tape in there. So this one I may actually stick to something and prime it. I think I may do the same thing with this. Maybe I'll stick him down too. So I went ahead and got my shim, put my poster tack on, and I'm going to fix all those elements so that way I can prime them in a basic flat black with a little white for a zenithal highlight. I sure do appreciate you guys sticking around and watching. Please subscribe and follow so that way you can see how the rest of this miniature takes off. We'll be having a base coat video as well as a highlight and shade video. One last thing is that I did mention that I was going to have to tape off some areas. I taped off those areas where I was going to be putting any type of glue so I didn't get any primer on them. I just want to say thank you again and paint fearlessly.